Hi everybody and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host Nancy Byrne and we are on the roof of Las Vegas City Hall admiring our new skyline thanks to Circa. We have all been watching for many months as construction has been going on down there. Well, it's officially open. This is the first time in about 40 years we have built a property from the ground up in downtown Las Vegas. Melissa Duran was there for the opening and says it's going to live up to its hype.
Downtown Las Vegas just got a lot brighter with the opening of Circa, the much-anticipated hotel and casino on the corner of Fremont and Main. Its glittering lights and grandeur could not have come at a better time. In the midst of a pandemic, Circa has been the good news everyone has clung to.
This is a day we've been waiting for a long time, and I can't believe 5 years goes by that quickly, but this is a great day. I mean, for our team and everything, but this is really a great day for Las Vegas and a great day for the state. So I'm excited about getting things going. I'm excited about people around the country have been texting me. They're excited about coming to Vegas, and that's what's really special.
This 1.25 million square foot property is making good on some big promises and pays homage to our past.
There's a lot of fun that we're going to try to bring to the game, and we're going to bring some modern amenities with a little bit of old school touch here. I enjoy this area quite a bit, and that's why when we designed this, we wanted to make sure that we were appropriately reflecting and respecting, Las Vegas history, and this is where Vegas started, was right here. So I think we try to bring in some of the old with some of the new, and then later on tonight when we crank up the music, we're going to see what happens.
That history dates back decades when this land used to be the Las Vegas Club. But now it's Derek Stevens' turn for his downtown vision. This property is the first ground-up casino resort development in downtown Las Vegas since 1980. The last was the Sundance Casino, which is now the D Las Vegas, also owned by Stevens. But the biggest piece of Vegas history is inside. Vegas Vicky herself, who is quite literally kicking again.
She was built in 1980, and this is the new Vicky. I mean, she looks today like she looked the first day that she came onto Fremont Street. We put great effort into researching every detail and every color. We've redone all the glass, the neon tubing, which is authentic hand-blown neon tubing, as well as the mechanics behind her leg, which kicks up and down as it should. Just looking at her, you realize 20+ feet tall, she doesn't fit in any door. We had to finish her months ago. We brought her over and they functionally built the building around her. And at the appropriate time, we were able to hoist her up in her current position.
Vegas Vicky is just one of the many must-sees inside of the property. Stadium Swim is unlike anything you've seen, with 6 pools, 2 spas, and a 143 by 40 foot LED screen. It has the capacity to hold 4,000 people. The pools will also be open 365 days a year. Yes, you heard that right. Pool temperatures can range from 78 to 94 degrees, with some able to reach 104 degrees.
One of the most talked about areas here at Circa is definitely what's right behind me, the Circa Sportsbook. It is the world's largest sportsbook. It has a viewing capacity of 1,000 guests and is 3 stories. Plus, they have a Twitter wall dedicated solely to Circa Sports.
That wow factor can really be seen throughout. Even the parking garage is touted as the Garage Mahal, with nearly 1,000 parking spaces and its own rideshare hub. And we, of course, can't forget about the bars and restaurants. You've heard of the 100-foot long bar at the D. Well, take a look at the Mega Bar, which is 165 feet. Plus, we have to talk about the food choices. From a delicatessen to barbecue or a great burger, there are tons of options, including Barry's Downtown Prime.
Anybody who knows me will know that I only have the highest standards of giving the greatest food that God can provide us here on this earth. So my dad always said, don't change it if it isn't broken. So we always try to get better. We bring it up a notch, So like when we do a short rib, we're going to do it tagine style with a little Moroccan influence, right? There's much more dry age on the menu. Different varieties of fish on the menu, all fresh, of course. And the food and the flavors with the seasons is going to be spectacular.
They, too, are giving off that vintage Vegas vibe.
Being downtown, we wanted to bring back what downtown originally was back in the 50s and 60s. We got together with a great group of architects, Punch Architecture, kind of gave them the footprint of what we were expecting, and then they put together this room that's sexy, that's vibey, that's plush, and we're bringing back the 50s and 60s with a modern day twist.
It's all part of that wow factor Derek Stevens wants everyone to experience. While he says it's been great watching his vision unfold, the best part is knowing the economic impact is making a difference, especially while we continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic.
I always thought that when you could start up a business and create jobs, that's always been impactful to me. I love growing businesses. Been doing it really my whole business career. This project, though, is clearly my largest project my brother and I have been involved with, and I think it's even really more special now with what's happened in 2020 because, I mean, we're in a community that needs jobs. You know, when I've had the opportunity to meet some of the different divisions, our table division, slot division, bartenders, cocktailers, PAD, it's been really amazing to see how much emotion is coming out with people getting back to work. So that's been something really special with this.
For now, this 21 and older property is ready to open its doors. And whether you come to explore, to have some fun, or to get away, you're just expected to have the time of your life. For City Beat, I'm Melissa Duran.
While the casino side is open to guests, the hotel side does not open until December 28th. Just in time for New Year's Eve. And in true Las Vegas style, there are 777 rooms. Thank you, Melissa Duran, for that story. Let's talk about another kind of growth. Now, people who visit our city always think about our casinos, our shopping, our restaurants. But those of us who live here know that we have great parks and open spaces. Have you ever stopped to think about how we as a city landscape those parks? Well, we could shop at a commercial nursery, but we discovered a couple of years ago it's a lot easier on the wallet if you grow your own. When you take in one of our beautiful city parks, a lot of what you see here as far as shade trees, shrubs, and other plant life actually got its start right here. And Brad Dossler is one of the city employees who is responsible for making things grow. This is one of 2 city nurseries. He says growing our own trees and bushes was something we started just a couple of years ago.
The nursery came about as sort of a temporary project to hold trees for planting projects in the park. And as you can see, it's expanded from here. It was probably a third of this size when we started. And then we've expanded to this whole run of trees down here. And we actually have a second nursery at the East Service Center as well.
It may come as a surprise that the city of Las Vegas even has nurseries, much less an urban forester overseeing them. But there are many advantages to cultivating trees as opposed to purchasing them, starting with saving money. When you have more than 80 parks, new ones always coming on board, and renovations at older parks, it can cost a lot of money to buy mature vegetation.
So with us buying younger trees, we can get a sapling for $5 or $6 or a smaller pot for $20, where a large commercially available tree could cost thousands of dollars, and generally does from contractors and once you get everyone involved.
Brad says by growing our own, the city also has a better handle on the quality of the plants.
We can ensure that we have a good root system. Most of the problems that we see in trees come from deformed or wrapping or girdling roots that restrict the tree and kind of will make it less healthy, make it less safe for the public, and so we can control that aspect of the growing process.
So this is how it typically works. When a new park is designed or an older park is renovated, the city will get concept designs from landscape architects, but the final say in what types of trees and shrubs go in that design rests with the city. Another advantage to growing our own is that we can diversify the species. A wider variety of trees prevents the city from being stuck with something that, for whatever reason, stops working in our environment.
Like, say we get excited about a tree like ash trees and we plant 10,000 of them, and they represent a big part of our inventory. If something happens in 15 years where ash trees aren't resilient out here anymore, they get an insect, then that's a significant financial loss to the city. And if we can kind of buffer that by having a lot of different species, that's really great for us.
As for adhering to our city's sustainability commitment, Brad and the Parks and Recreation staff keep a close eye on landscaping that is not too thirsty in the summer and can still withstand some cold nights in the winter. And they've taken other steps, such as changing from wooden plant containers like this, which are discarded after use, to heavy-duty plastic ones like this, which are reusable. A couple of years ago, when the nursery took root, it became clear relying on our own talented staff for homegrown plants is the financially and environmentally smart thing to do.
If we have trees with good roots and we have a diverse tree canopy, then those trees are going to last 50, 60, 80 years, and that investment becomes incredibly valuable at the end, where if we're replacing trees because they're of poor quality or something like that, then we're kind of spinning our wheels. If every 5 or 8 years we're having to replace a tree, we're really not getting anywhere.
When you look at all those tall trees, you may wonder how long it takes for them to grow that high. Well, a typical tree can gain about 5 or 6 feet in 1 year. Even oaks, which are considered slow growing, can gain about 4 feet. Well, if you're anything like me, you're watching all the construction going on in the city, especially in the housing industry, and wondering, do we have enough water to sustain all the people moving here? Well, KCLV producer Sue Levitt sat down with 2 people who make it their job to know how our water supply is doing.
And we take an approach of planning for a 50-year resource plan every single year, looking at our current Colorado River conditions, future population growth, and varying levels of water conservation and different river hydrology. So extended droughts, climate change, and what all of those things would do for our resource. And where we sit today, we're actually better than a lot of communities. We have access to 300,000 acre feet of water on the Colorado River. And today we're using somewhere in the 230,000 acre foot range. So when we talk about shortages occurring on the Colorado River, those occur to our allocation, that 300,000 acre feet of water that we have access to. So even under the deepest Colorado River shortage, that is prescribed today in federal law, we would still be using less than that amount. So 30,000 acre feet is the most reduction we could face, and right now we're using in the 230s. But it is important for us all to continue to conserve water and do what we can so that the valley can continue to grow and maintain sustainable water resources.
It really sounds like you have a good grasp on, the current water needs. And, as we look to the future, the city, of course, we have a master plan for 2050, and that's why Marco is here. So Marco can explain a little bit more about that plan and how water plays into that. Marco, you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the city of Las Vegas is adopting its 2050 master plan in a couple months here. And that's a 30-year comprehensive plan that develops a vision and framework for the future of Las Vegas, not only for the city and its operations itself, but also for the community at large. And the draft that we have provides some direction and practical guidelines for future development, whether it's residential or commercial, as well as recommendations that are implementation focused, clear, and adaptable to changing conditions that might happen over the next 30 years. The plan itself has been under development for the past year and a half, and it received a lot of community-driven information and survey results in an effort to be really inclusive and transparent and broadly supported by consensus. So we worked with organizations such as Southern Nevada Water Authority, and when we did our surveys, we found out, not surprisingly, that water was one of those future issues that was a top issue that the city would need to address. So given that Southern Nevada Water Authority is one of our partners, we wanted to make sure that we integrated their efforts as well as the efforts of other stakeholders in the community on how we can conserve water as we continue to grow in population.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, a community forum in Ward 5 that usually takes place in person goes high-tech, and we were there.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to City Beat from the roof of your Las Vegas City Hall. You know, our council members use a lot of different methods to keep the doors of communication open with their constituents. Sometimes it's coffee with a council member or maybe through social media. Well, one of the ways Ward 5 Councilman Cedric Creer keeps in touch with his constituents is through an annual forum. Now, usually this is held in person. This year, thank you coronavirus, it was held mostly virtually. I had the honor of emceeing as directors, first responders, and other city leaders joined the councilman to talk with residents for over 2 hours. Councilman Cedric Creer is often seen out in Ward 5 interacting with residents, but on October 22nd, he invited residents to come to him at City Hall, either in person or through his Facebook page, for an annual update on what's going on in their community. And at 6 p.m. on the nose, the Ward 5 virtual community forum began on Facebook and Channel 2. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. With a smaller audience socially distanced in the council chambers and many more watching from home, Councilman Creer started off by reminding us all of a rare silver lining in this otherwise cloudy year.
A lot of times when bad things happen, good things come out of it. And one of the good things out of it is that we are live streaming on KCLV TV, our station, and live streaming live on our Facebook channels, which means that we're probably going to reach a lot more people potentially than we might have had at our other events.
For the next 2 hours, residents would hear from city leaders on his core strategic objectives: workforce development, strides being made in ending and helping the homeless population, and economic development.
So tonight you'll hear from various city departments on current projects, where we are and where we are headed, available resources, how you can get involved. And tonight is about being proactive and sharing information. You've heard me say this, and I'll continue to say this. Great things are happening in the city of Las Vegas, and great things are happening in Ward 5.
Following state directives, we asked that everyone practice social distancing and that face coverings be worn by the speakers until they took to the podium. As an extra precaution, I wiped down the microphone in between each and every speaker. Kicking the forum off, public works projects in Ward 5.
We've got projects every corner of the community, and we work closely with a lot of residents to find out what are those improvements that'll make things better. And I'm going to highlight for you some of those projects. So first one is really an economic development project where the city's the master developer in Symphony Park, right out across the street. And in order to help with some of the economic development that's coming there, parking garages are needed to replace ground level parking that's not as efficient.
We heard from Director Greg Weitzel on how the pandemic put a spotlight on our already popular parks and open spaces and improvements at centers like the Dula Community Center. Mike Howe, who is a section manager with planning, spoke of special zoning for the area around the historic West Side School. We also heard how staff of economic and urban development sought every dollar from the federal government to local grants to help keep businesses running during the pandemic.
Well, we not only pushed out other people's money, but we've had some money ourselves. We actually provided money throughout the city in 2 rounds of funding for a business preparedness grant. And I'm happy to report that we funded 176 different Ward 5 businesses with a $4,000 cash grant No restrictions. You can spend it on any reopening expenses.
Dr. Tammy Malich told viewers how youth development and social innovation implemented new programs like community navigators to help residents with everything from housing to distance learning support, as well as a $7 million grant that will be used to support the councilman's workforce development initiative.
But if successful, that will host a site, a $7 million construction project that will include an education training center that will include skilled trades and construction, IT, healthcare, and advanced manufacturing.
At any given time, Ward 5 houses half the homeless population in the city's Quarter of Hope. The director of community services spoke of how that department met coronavirus challenges, such as building the ISOQ, which was open to homeless who tested positive for the virus. There was also an update on the Courtyard Homeless Resource Center, which is unique in its 24/7 service and it being a low barrier access point.
It means I'm not going to ask you to give up your pets when you get to the door. It means you can show up with 10 bags of your personal belongings, and I'm not going to ask you to discard them when you get to the door. It means I'm not going to say, if you say this is my family, I'm not going to say, well, no, a family looks like this, and the group of people you're with doesn't look like a family. Low barrier means no judgment.
The director of operations and maintenance spoke of his department's work in everything from street sweeping to graffiti abatement, and how it is also answering the call to clean up areas that become homeless encampments for the safety and health of the homeless and the rest of the city.
The last photo I'm going to show you is and it's a video, it's at the industrial overpass, which was just constructed, and you'll see us clearing debris from storm drain structures. These storm drain structures, all of the possessions were taken out prior to this activity, and so this is just the trash that was left in them. And so we secured this location after we cleared it and cleaned it, posted it no trespassing, and secured it in such a manner that 3 months have went by and it's not been subject to any further trespass.
First responders from the Department of Public Safety, Las Vegas Metro Police, and Las Vegas Fire and Rescue also spoke briefly about where residents can turn with any issues. After the speakers, audience questions were answered. Will the people who are investing in opportunity zones be required to invest their funds back into the community?
I'll let Bill get down to the technical aspects of the opportunity zones, but at the end of the day, it's for businesses to defer their capital gains that they've earned over the years to make an investment within a opportunity zone community to spur investment. If they hold that investment within the community for so long, then they get those capital gains abated.
And with the clock already ticking past the 8 o'clock hour, Councilman Creer reminded viewers this forum may be over, but his office is always available to residents.
My job is to keep our foot on the pedal to ensure that the things that we talk about, we are going to do, and we are moving forward with that.
That forum is a huge undertaking. Congratulations to Councilman Creer and his entire staff for another successful town hall. Well, we talked earlier about Circa opening up, and if you are one of the people that loves to hop around downtown to all the great venues, here's some good news. As of October 28th, the Downtown Loop has been relaunched. It's still free. They added a third shuttle and some more stops. You still have to wear a face covering and practice social distancing, but it's going to be a great service that still you can hop on for free. Sue Levitt and Stephen Tyler Pierce put together this little public service announcement with more information.
The Downtown Loop is back. Now you can take in all the beautiful sights and attractions downtown for free. Just look for one of these free shuttle buses with the showgirls that say Downtown Loop. Hop on and enjoy your ride. The Loop will run Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 3 to 10 p.m. 4 additional stops have been added to the Loop, and all shuttles will have pandemic safety precautions in place. For more information and to find out where the Downtown Loop stops, visit lasvegasnevada.gov/Downtown Loop.
You know, October is such a great month. Fall arrives, we've got Halloween, Nevada Day, and it also is Hispanic Heritage Month. Well, to mark the end of that month, Ward 3 Councilwoman Olivia Diaz had a parade of flags. It was absolutely beautiful. Flags representing the United States and 32 Latin American countries. It was so pretty, we wanted to share a taste with you. You know, this is where it all starts. Halloween candy, then your coworkers bring in leftover Halloween candy because they don't want to touch it. Then you've got Thanksgiving leftovers, holiday parties, Christmas, New Year's. You know, it's really all downhill from here. This is a time of year when we all overindulge, but we do have some tips. And before you lower the volume on this next story, they're really doable. The holidays are a great time of year to gather with friends and family and enjoy traditional feasts and festivities. But if you don't want to be afraid of your scale on January 2nd, there are some easy ways to scale back while indulging in the season. Dr. Jill Oliver is a family practice doctor who specializes in wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging. At this time of year, filled with so many temptations, she has sound advice she always gives to her patients. She shared some of it with us.
One of the most important things I tell my patients is leave it on the day. So Thanksgiving, enjoy it. Have a little bit of your pie or whatever it is that brings you joy. But leave it on Thursday. Don't take it to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Next thing you know, you've eaten a whole pie.
While leaving it on the day, take advantage of the other days to dial it back.
There's going to be Christmas parties. There's going to be obviously the holidays themselves. So when you can be good, be very good. Hey, it's Wednesday. It's not your birthday. It's not Thanksgiving. Chicken and broccoli it is.
She says stop and think when building that Thanksgiving or holiday plate.
Another thing I like my patients to do is pick one starch. So if you love stuffing, great. Have your stuffing, your turkey, all your veggies. Conversely, if you love mashed potatoes, great. Have that be your starch, but leave the biscuit alone. Leave the macaroni and cheese alone or whatever your family makes. So pick one starch, the rest of your plate, proteins and veggies.
Dr. Oliver says a lot of empty calories hide in the bottom of a glass. At cocktail parties, try these tricks.
Leave the calories in the alcohol itself. And by that I mean if you're having a little shot of vodka, mix it with something that has no calories, like a diet tonic or a soda water with some lime. Don't mix it with orange juice, because then we're getting the 150 calories of the vodka plus the 150 calories of the orange juice, and just that much more glycemic load, that much more sugar going into your bloodstream. The other nifty trick is, if you're gonna have a cocktail at the holidays, have one, stop, drink an entire bottle of water. When you're finished with that, if you choose to have another one, have one, stop, drink a whole nother bottle of water.
P.S. That can also go a long way in keeping you from getting too tipsy. And here's something else very important. Don't forget to keep moving. If you have a regular exercise regimen or a class you enjoy, this is not the time of year to put that on the back burner. Make sure to set some time aside to burn off those extra calories.
One of the best things you could do is get up and do it before anything else messes up your day, first thing in the morning. Even if you're not a morning person, we're not talking about having to get up at 5:30 necessarily, but get up at 7:30 and hit the gym before the phone starts ringing, the kid starts crying, the sky starts falling. If you can get up and get it out of the way first thing, you're more likely to stick with it.
She says you may want to keep track of where you're headed by weighing in once a week. It's okay to put on a little weight, but you don't want the pounds to pile up.
Pick a day of the week, maybe every Monday. Do your weigh-ins on Monday. I also encourage my patients, write it on a little sticky note. Stick it on your mirror so every time you're getting ready, you can glance up there and use it as some motivation. Okay, I'm 150. Next week I want to be 149.
Finally, Dr. Oliver reminds us the holidays are supposed to be fun, so enjoy. But remember, a little less indulgence now will mean a lot less stress come January. Another tip Dr. Oliver has is to keep a food journal. You just never know where some of those hidden calories are coming from. You can do it in an old-fashioned journal, plus there's lots of free apps out there to help you keep track as well. Well, that does it for this City Beat from the roof of Las Vegas City Hall, where we celebrated a lot of good stuff going on in the city right now, including the opening of Circa. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you for the next City Beat.